if the Republicans want to lose guys like me and a whole bunch of still God-fearing, Bible-believing people, go ahead and just abdicate on this issue, and while you're at it, go ahead and say abortion doesn't matter either.
Mike Huckabee has thrown down the challenge in the Republican fight against gay marriage, which opens up plenty of avenues about federal state rights and the federal courts telling states how they can do business and live their lives. All right, whole lot to go here. Welcome back to MidPoint, political analyst and co-author of the best-selling new book, Power Grab, Obama's Dangerous Plan for a One-Party Nation, that you can get in bookstores and also at Amazon. Co-written with his wife, Eileen McGann. It's a pleasure once again to welcome in Dick Morris. Dick, pleasure to see you again, and here we have Mike Huckabee basically throwing down the glove here and saying, if you don't do it, I'm out. What does he hope to gain by this?
Well, I think first it's important for us to understand what the Supreme Court did. They did not rule in favor of gay marriage. They ruled that you can have gay marriage if the state wants to do it. What they have yet to do, and lower courts have done, is to say that the Equal Protection Clause in the 14th Amendment means that if heterosexuals can marry, homosexuals can marry. The Supreme Court has not taken that step and deliberately avoided taking the step when it ruled that gay couples can get the same financial benefits from the government that straight couples do. But it hasn't ruled that. And I think that the Republican position, that was a good one, is that this should be left up to the states. There is nothing more important than community feeling and sentiment in shaping something like a social issue like marriage. If the people in the state believe that gay people should be permitted to marry, go do it. If they don't do it. But I don't think it has any place in the court system.
What does Mike Huckabee hope to gain by this? Because there are those people such as Democratic analyst and pollster Doug Schoen, who was quoted on Newsmax by saying that given the mood of the country, Mike Huckabee can do serious damage to the Republican nominee if he runs as a Tea Party independent against a mainstream Republican nominee.
Well, Huckabee is not going to run as a third candidate. I'm not even sure he's going to seek the Republican nomination. But I do think he's alarmed by the spread of the acceptance of gay marriage, which is fueled largely by Hollywood and scenes where everybody's kissing and stuff. There's a scene from Scandal that is gay prostitute sex featured on the screen. So I think that if there weren't for cable TV, there wouldn't be gay marriage in the country because it wouldn't be out there.
Let's go ahead and talk about the federal courts here, too, because that's a big point that you bring up. And, of course, you've covered a lot of these issues in the new book, Power Grab. How much of this comes down to what you have often told people, that one idea that the president and his people have about changing this nation? Certainly the federal courts have to work into this.
Well, I think the key thing he's done is to politicize the federal court by eliminating the 60-vote requirement in the Senate for confirmation of all but Supreme Court judges. And the result is that he's been able to stack the bench with some definitely far-out liberals. And I think that's a big part of what he's doing, particularly in the D.C. Circuit Court. That's where most of the decisions happen and then go up to the Supreme Court. If you're going to challenge a federal regulation, that's the court. Now, that court was balanced, 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, and they had an easy caseload. They weren't complaining. They could handle it. Well, Congress decided to fill 3 other vacancies with Democrats and jam them through without the 60-vote requirement. And now that court is stacked 7-4 in favor of Obama. You'd be hard-pressed to find a ruling that doesn't go 7-4 in his favor in that court.
By the way, I have to ask before we get away from Mike Huckabee here, do you think he's serious and he means it?
I think he means it, that Republicans will lose a lot of support if they don't continue to toe the line on gay marriage. I think that Mike would support what I said, which is a state solution to the problem. Let each locality make its decision. Don't let the federal government tell Arkansas what to do, but let New York do whatever New York wants to do. But I don't think he's going to bolt the party, and I think that he's just stating a point of view. You know, Ed, we've had a lot of discussion lately about Leon Panetta's new book.
You read my mind, exactly where I was going.
Good. Okay, you go.
No, let's talk about this because there's a thinking process here that Panetta's book, certainly, and some of the criticism that he's undertaken now of the president may even bolster somebody else come the election cycle, someone named Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Well, in the mafia, they do contract hits. Somebody comes and says, I want this guy dead, and they go out and kill him for him. And I think that this was a contract hit by Panetta on Obama, paid for by Hillary. Panetta is, who I worked with in the White House for 2 years, is a Clintonista before he's anything else. And I think that Hillary is very, very anxious to make sure that the foreign policy failures of this administration, which now are overwhelmingly apparent to anyone with eyes, will not be blamed on her merely because she was the Secretary of State and the author of those policies. Instead, she wants to blame the president, and it isn't seemly for her to be pointing a finger at the president, so she gets Panetta to do it for her. But I think that it'll ultimately be a failure. You can't take a woman a person who was married to the president and had a limited role at that point of what she did or didn't do, and we'll never really know. Eileen once said, my wife, the White House pastry chef, was there too. Then she went to the Senate and did absolutely nothing. There is no Hillary bill. There's no major piece of legislation. She's just voted the way she was supposed to. And then her real claim to running for president is Secretary of State. And the foreign policy she developed, from the reset button to Russia, to encouraging the Arab Spring, to keeping hands, to the full pullout from Iraq, leaving no forces there, it's been a catastrophe, one thing after another screwing up. And all while Obama's still president and while Hillary is running. It's like Kathleen Sebelius running for president saying her experience is that she made Obamacare work smoothly. Everybody will laugh her off the stage. And I think that's why Hillary is desperate to get Leon Panetta to put some distance between Hillary and these screw-ups of the Obama administration.
Always love the understories here come around Washington, D.C. in the elections. By the way, we want to remind everybody to remember to grab your copy of Dick Morris's new book, Power Grab, Obama's Dangerous Plan for a One-Party Nation, now available at your local bookstore, or make it easy, order your copy online at Amazon.com, co-written with his wife, Eileen McGann. Dick Morris, always a pleasure.
I would also suggest you might want to go to BN.com, Barnes & Nobles. We've had some problems with Amazon delivering the books on time.
We'll send them there as well. Dick, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Stay with us. MidPoint will continue.